How's it going? I'm assuming if you're watching this video, not the best, because you're trying to connect your controller back to your PlayStation 4, which, let's face it, it can be kind of a pain in the butt. I have a version 1 of this video that helped a lot of people, but not everybody, so I decided to make a version 2. With this version of the video, I'm trying to make it as comprehensive as possible, going over all of the solutions I could find, plus some that were sent in to me through the comments in my last video. If you want, you can go through the chapters and look for the solutions that will help you in your particular situation. I highly recommend that you watch the whole video though. Try all the different solutions, see if any of them work for you. I'm hoping they do. If they do work for you, please consider liking, leave me a comment letting me know how it went, subscribing, that would be fantastic. If you're feeling super generous, if you click on the About section of this channel page, there's some info on how to donate. Without further ado, here we go. Good luck. Before you do any of these steps, the first thing you need to do is make sure you go to whatever device you've connected this to. So if it's a tablet, phone, PC, whatever, make sure you go to that device, go to the Bluetooth settings, find the device, and make sure to forget it. This is kind of helpful because this will just make sure that when you're trying to go into Bluetooth pairing mode, which you have to do for some of these methods, that it's not going to automatically connect to whatever previous device you had. Another thing that can be helpful is resetting your controller. And to do that, there's this little button right here on the back. I don't think it says reset anywhere on it, but that's what it is. It's the reset button. To do this, you have to get like a toothpick or something small, and poke it into this hole. When you do, you'll feel like a little click when you press it into there. And you just press it into the hole and hold that for like a second or two. And that will reset your controller. The first method I'm going to cover is one that I think everyone should watch. Because most of you, if you figure this out, this will work. And I'm going to explain not only how to do this, but why this doesn't work for some people and how you can get around that. So the first method is connecting your controller to a cable that's connected to your USB ports in the front of your PlayStation. Now, you have to have the right connection, obviously. So this is the USB micro, kind of looks like this. This is a really common cable, and it's used for charging a whole lot of different devices in your house, more than likely. So you probably have a bunch of these hanging around. I would go on a scavenger hunt and find as many as you possibly can, gather them up, and try them one at a time with your PlayStation turned on. Press the power button to do that. Now let me demonstrate. I've got two different cords that I'm going to try, and I'm going to show you that one will work and one won't, and explain why. So I've got this one right here, and I'm going to plug it in to the back of the PlayStation. Now, if this cable was going to work, this orange light would usually be glowing. But notice nothing's happening. It's because this cable is really, really loose. This design of cable is just really crappy in my opinion. They're these little metal pieces that act like springs that kind of are supposed to keep it secure back here. But this is just a crappy cable. So having a low quality cable or one that's a little bit loose is just not going to do it for you. So let me show. If I press the power button, I've got the white flashes and nothing. It's not working. Total misfire, right? Now, I'm going to take this cable. This is plugged into my PlayStation 4 also. This is just a nicer cable. It fits in a lot more snugly. And when I plug it in, there's a lot less wiggle to it. And notice this orange light is turning on the charging light, which is great. This is a great sign. So I'm going to now press the power button, and bam, it's connected to my PlayStation. I've got the awesome solid blue or solid orange or red or whatever light, and it's now connected, and I can use it to control my PlayStation. So again, go on a scavenger hunt, find as many of these micro USB cables as you possibly can, and try them one at a time with your PlayStation turned on. Now, in the comments, some people said that it worked if they had their PlayStation completely powered off and they tried to turn on their PlayStation with their controller by plugging it in. Try that, but for me, I tried to replicate that and it didn't work for me. The only way it would work was to actually power my PlayStation on and then try to connect it with the controller. The next method I'm going to talk about is one of my favorites, just because it tends to work really well for most people. Now, you have to be fortunate enough to have an extra controller and one that's already connected to your PlayStation 4. What you need to do is use your controller to go up here to your settings. And then from here, we're going to go to devices, and then we're going to go to Bluetooth devices. Now you can see this one that's lit up green. This is my controller right now that's connected. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to remove all of my other devices. So don't remove this one. You got to keep the one that you're connected to or else you're going to really screw yourself over. So go down here and remove any other DualShock 4 controllers. To do this, you've got to click on the device and then you've got to click Options on your controller and you're going to click Forget Device. And you're going to click Yes, I want to forget this, click OK. All right, now I've removed my old controller. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my controller here. This is the one I'm trying to connect. And I'm going to press and hold the PlayStation button and the share button at the same time so that it goes into Bluetooth pairing mode. So I'm going to press. Now you have to press them at the exact same time. If you don't, then it is not going to work. So let me demonstrate. PlayStation button, share, press and hold at the exact same time, and you're going to get these white flashes. Now I've got it in Bluetooth pairing mode. Back here at my screen, I'm going to back out. I'm going to hit the back button and then go back into it. That will refresh my list of devices. Woohoo! Now you can see my DualShock 4, the one I want to connect to. I'm going to press the X button to connect to it. Heck yeah, I want to register this Bluetooth device. I'm going to click yes. And bam, it is now connected to my PlayStation 4. It's a miracle. It's so awesome. You can use this, go ahead and log in, and now you're good to go. You've got your controller connected, and it's fantastic. Let's say your controller's not connecting to your console, and you don't have an extra controller, which is kind of a bummer, right? If you have remote play, you can do the same thing as solution number 1, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Remote play has to already be set up. If you haven't enabled remote play in the settings on your PlayStation 4, this probably won't work. But if you're able to connect it with remote play, go to the PlayStation Remote Play app and go ahead and connect to your PlayStation 4. Okay, so I'm connected to my PlayStation 4. From here, I'm going to do the same things as in solution number 1. So I'm going to go over to settings and click the X button to go into it. I'm going to scroll down until I see my devices. Click X. You can use the virtual controller on here. And basically, you're just using your remote play as a second controller. Then from there, I'm going to go into Bluetooth devices. All right, I can see my DualShocks. I'm going to go into the DualShock. Then I'm going to click Options, and I'm going to click X to forget device. And I'm going to click OK to forget it. I'm going to do that one more time. I would do this with all of your DualShocks, just forget them. Now, once you forget them, obviously you're not able to connect it, but this clearly makes it so that it's harder to connect. But you're going to use Bluetooth pairing mode to connect to these. So I'm going to click Options and then click X to forget device. Okay. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my controller that hasn't been connecting and I'm going to hold down the share button and the PlayStation button at the same time. You have to get your fingers on them and press them together simultaneously or it doesn't work. So I'm going to press and hold those just for a few seconds until I get the quick flashes. All right, now you're going to notice here, random Samsung refrigerator showing up, but no PlayStation controller. You've got to hit the back button or circle button and then go back into it. That will refresh the list of items the list of devices. Now you can see it. There's the DualShock 4. I'm going to go ahead and press X to go into that. Do I want to register the Bluetooth device? Of course. I'm going to click yes, and bam, my controller is connected to my PlayStation 4 and will control the PlayStation 4. Pretty nifty, right? For this next method, you have to have quite a few specific things to fall into place in order for this to work. Number one, you need to have a controller that you can plug into the front of your PlayStation 4 console through the USB port. You could use a wireless one, but I think you'd already have to have it paired. So this is easier because you don't necessarily already have to have this paired or connected. It's just plug and play. For this to work, you have to have your PlayStation set to automatically sign in. In other words, if you're not already logged in or if you're at the sign-in screen, this won't work. There is a button on here that functions like the PlayStation button. It's the pause and break button. But for some reason, Sony, it works as the PlayStation button like on the keyboard, like once you're logged in. But when you're at the sign-in screen, it doesn't work. It only lets you power off the console or restart it or put it in rest mode. It doesn't let you use it as a sign-in button. So again, sadly, you have to have those two conditions met. A keyboard you can plug in, and you have to have your PlayStation already signed in or set to automatically sign in, so you bypass that beginning screen. But if you have those things and they're all in place, you're going to use the same method to use the Bluetooth to connect it as the previous two that I showed you. The only difference here is you're going to be using the keyboard to control it. So you'll use the arrow keys to move through the menu. And then you are going to use Enter as the X or cross button. And then the escape button functions like the circle or the back button. And then the options button is going to be F3. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into settings. You're going to go to your devices, enter. Then you're going to go into Bluetooth devices, where you'll see your DualShocks. Just like I showed in the previous method, you're going to want to remove those. So you're going to click to go into the DualShocks by hitting enter. And then I'm going to press F3 to go into options, and then enter to forget the device. And then OK. I'm going to repeat that process for the other one. And do this for all of your DualShocks if none of them are connecting. Obviously, if at least one of them is connecting, you'll want to use method number one to connect your controller, which uses an extra already connected controller. So I'm going to hit options, and I'm going to forget device again. It's okay. Yep, I'm going to let that be forgotten. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my controller into Bluetooth pairing mode by pressing and holding the share button and the PlayStation button at the exact same time. And they do have to be pressed at the same time until you get the flashes. Now, I've got to hit escape to back out, and then enter to go back into my Bluetooth devices. Otherwise, I can't see my DualShock. I have to refresh it. There it is, my DualShock that's flashing right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and register it by clicking yes. And there we go. It is now blue light. It's now connected. Okay, for this next method, I'm going to use a technique that was shown to me in the comments. You'll see their name flashing on the screen, the person that originally sent me this idea. So thank you for doing that. You're going to use a motion controller. These were originally for the PlayStation 3, but if you have a PSVR, you probably ended up getting one of these. So if you're lucky enough to have a Move controller, you can do this method. Now, this is going to be doing the same thing that I showed with the other methods. You're just going to be connecting to connecting the controller using the Bluetooth. So I'm going to hold down the trigger. When I do that, I can swipe through the menu. I'm going to go up, swipe up, and again, I'm holding the trigger when I'm doing that. And I'm going to go over here to settings, Then I'm going to go down to devices, and I'm pushing the move button, the big move button, to use as an input control. I'm going to then go to Bluetooth devices. Now I've got to go through and I've got to remove all of these DualShock 4s. This is assuming none of your DualShock 4s are working right now. Okay, I'm going to go into each one and I'm going to press the select button that's on the right side of this controller. And I'm going to click Forget Device. Okay. I'm going to repeat the process for my other DualShock. So I'm going to, again, hit the Start button that's on the right side of the controller. And I'm going to hit Forget Device. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to put my controller into Bluetooth pairing mode, holding down Share button and PlayStation button at the exact same time. So here we go. I'm going to press that and hold that until I get the white flashes. Bingo. Now I have to refresh my list of devices, so I've got to hit the circle button to go back. And then I'm going to go back into it. That will refresh it. And now you can see I've got my DualShock 4. I'm going to go ahead and press the move button on that. And heck yeah, I want to register it. I'm going to go ahead and click yes. And bingo. My controller is now connected back to my PlayStation 4. Okay, I'm going to go over a couple of weird options right now, and some of these work for people. They didn't really work for me, but they might work for you. And this is like digging at the bottom of the barrel. Fully power the device down and then restart and see if that works. With the PlayStation 4, it's a little trickier than you'd think, because a lot of times you might think you're shutting it down, but you're actually just putting it in rest mode. So to make sure you fully shut it down, you got to press and hold this power button until the lights fully turn off. You'll get a message on the screen saying that your console is being shut down or being turned off. So when you get that message, you can let go. But yeah, fully power off your console. And then once this light, this little blinking white light is fully turned off, you can go ahead and turn it back on and restart it and see if that works. Some people also say that they not only power it off completely, but they unplug the power cable and leave that unplugged for like a minute and then plug it back in and then restart it. I think it doesn't hurt to try. Try that and see if that works. Find your HDMI cable and unplug it from the back of your PlayStation 4 and then unplug it from your TV and try to restart your PlayStation. This works for some people. Like I said, it doesn't really work for me, so it's something that you can try. I've never gotten this to work, and I've only ever seen this happen on my PlayStation 3, but this is more of a legend. I don't really, like I said, I've never been able to replicate it. But when you're in your PlayStation, if you click on your TV remote and it has in the past been able to control your PlayStation, then you could actually use your remote to do method 2 and 3 like I showed in the video. Again, I've tried to replicate this and I've never been able to, but for some reason some TV remotes can control the PlayStation 4 console. I think what this has to do is a lot of TVs have what's called eARC or ARC capabilities, which basically means that like if you turn on the PlayStation console, it will turn on your TV. They're kind of like linked together. And for some TVs, the linking carries over to their remotes. So again, try it and see if your TV controller controls your PlayStation. And if it does, you can use the method that I laid out in methods 2 and 3 and see if that works for you. Go to your Wi-Fi router and unplug your Wi-Fi router and try to reconnect your controller. I think the theory behind this is that sometimes Wi-Fi routers can sometimes interfere with Bluetooth signals. And so the idea is by resetting your Wi-Fi router, that might clear any extra signals in the air and might make the Bluetooth connect a little bit better to your PlayStation console. Okay, this next method I'm just going to mention really briefly because I haven't been able to verify it myself or replicate it because I'm not in this situation. But according to some people in the comments on my previous video, you can, if you have an external hard drive connected to your PlayStation 4, for some reason that seems to mess up, being able to connect it with the cable into the controller. And so for some people, they've been able to disconnect their portable hard drive, their external hard drive. If they disconnect that and then try to connect their controller using any of the other methods, for some reason for them that seems to work. Again, I can't replicate this, I can't verify this, but I figured since a few people in the comments have let me know that this worked for them, figured I'd just mention that in case that's something that you could try. I just wanted to address something else that I've been getting a lot of questions about in the comments on my previous video. Some people are saying that their PlayStation controller will connect to their PlayStation just for a few seconds and then it turns off. So I'm not a complete expert on this, but I have a couple theories about this. My big theory is that either your battery is kind of fizzled out or your PlayStation is just not holding a charge. Could also be that you're just not using a good charging method, like maybe your cable isn't the best and it's not connecting very well. I mean, the batteries do wear out on these. One mistake that a lot of people make is that they try to connect their PlayStation controller to like a power outlet, like a USB block, and charge it that way. The issue with that is that, at least what I've been reading online, is that basically the amount of amps that need to go into this in order to charge the battery correctly, it might not be giving it the right amount of amps, maybe too low or too high, and this can really damage or destroy the battery. So that's one issue. And again, like I said, if your cable's not very good, or if this connecting port is just really wiggly and just not connecting very well, you're not going to get very much of a charge, and so it's not going to stay on for very long. One thing I'd recommend trying is getting one of these charging ports. The nice thing about these is that they actually use a different charging port than the micro USB. So if this is messed up or not connecting very well, you sit it here in the dock and it will actually just connect a lot better and charge a little faster, in my opinion. I mean, of course, I'm not sure about the science on that, so I could be wrong. But try a different charging method and see if that works. And again, if your controller's just not holding a charge, it just might be that the battery is worn out or just isn't holding a charge, and sadly that means you probably need to get a new controller. Okay, so if you tried all these methods and none of them worked, the next thing that you need to do is test the Bluetooth receiver on your PlayStation 4. Test the Bluetooth receiver in your console. You need to fully power off your PlayStation and then put it into rest mode. So to do this with the light either white or yellow, you're going to press and hold the power button until that light fully turns off. There should be no lights on the power button on your console. You'll get a message on your screen saying preparing to turn off the PlayStation. And when you get that message, it should fully power off, so wait till it's fully turned off before you do the next step.
10 seconds later.
Okay, PlayStation is fully powered off. Now I'm going to press and hold the power button until I get a message on my screen saying that it's now in safe mode. So we're going to wait a second for that. Okay, I'm in safe mode now. I can go ahead and release that button. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be connecting the controller to the TV or to the console with the cord. If the cord does not work, then that means it's my cord, not my controller. Okay, if that's the case, then you need a new cord. Find a cord from your house or go buy one that's compatible with the PlayStation and use one that will connect to it. If my controller connects to the console in safe mode, Now with the console in safe mode, with your console now in safe mode, what you're going to do is connect your controller to your console using the micro USB cable. When you plug it in, you should get that orange light. And when you turn your console on, you should get this menu. That's a great sign. Go ahead and hit restart PlayStation 4. Now, if you plug in a cable into your controller and nothing happens, you don't get the orange light, just dead. That means you need a new cable, especially if none of the other methods I showed you worked. Then you've just got to get a new cable because that's the way you connect these if you can't use the Bluetooth method. If, on the other hand, you connect your controller in safe mode and then you go into the console with it turned back on and it won't connect, the cable worked in safe mode but it doesn't work in the normal mode, then you know you have a problem. In that case, your issue is probably the Bluetooth receiver inside the console. It just means that your controller can connect with the cable, but it just can't connect wirelessly. There's a chip in there that's like a little antenna that connects your controller wirelessly to the console. If that's broken or malfunctioning or burned out, then you're just not going to be able to use your controller wirelessly. You can probably still use it plugged in, but yeah, the wireless isn't going to happen. So in that case, what you need to do is replace your Bluetooth receiver inside your console. It's not the easiest thing to do. I have a link in the video description on how to do that. I don't have any videos on that because I haven't really needed to replace the Bluetooth receiver, but there's a handy how-to guide on how to do that. You need to be able to use a soldering iron, and so you have to have some basic computer repair knowledge. I think at that point you have to kind of decide, is this something for me? Soldering can be a little bit dangerous, so I wouldn't recommend it for young kids. If you really need to replace the Bluetooth receiver, I think at that point you probably need a new console. If, on the other hand, you're feeling up to the task, it's not like crazy difficult, at least from what I saw in the how-to guide, but it does, is going to take some technical expertise.